Hey guys, and welcome back to whatever this is going to be. Today I'm going to do something that I swear up and down that I'm never going to do, just because every time I make one of these, I always end up not being in the mood to read any of them whatsoever and never get any of them read. But today I figured, why not just go ahead and start a TBR? If I read all of them, great. If I read none of them, great. So, you're gonna laugh at me because I have way more books to get through this month than I read in the entirety of last month, and last month was a very good reading month for me. I have some of these as physical copies, I have some of these as ebooks or whatnot, and I will do my best to edit the pictures of the ones that I don't have right here, just because I'm editing this on iMovie and on my phone, and sometimes it doesn't work out the way I planned, but I will do my absolute best to get all of this ready for you. But the first book that I plan to read this month is God's Grave by J. Kristoff. This is the sequel to Nevernight. It's a grim, dark assassin school fantasy series about a girl named Mia who goes on a quest for vengeance against the people who she believes are responsible for the death of her father. I also plan on getting to the conclusion of that series, which is Dark Dawn, also by J. Kristoff. The next book is another sci-fi fantasy book. This is Ancillary Sword by Anne Leckie. This is the sequel to Ancillary Justice, which I absolutely adored, and I want to read more of this world and this series. It's a trilogy, and I do want to read Ancillary Mercy, which is the one right after this, soon. I just don't have that one, and I'm trying to track it down. The next one I've heard really good things about, and that is The Kingdom of Bach by Marie Lu. Apparently this is about Mozart's sister, who wanted to be a musician and was in a lot of ways better than Mozart himself. And when they were children, they used to make up magical worlds to entertain themselves on long carriage rides called The Kingdom of Bach. Apparently this is supposed to be absolutely beautiful. It does a great job with all of the music in it, and it does a lot of mystical realism, or magical realism, and it sounded interesting, and this cover is beautiful. And this originally wasn't on my list for this month, and then I remembered I have it from the library, and I heard a couple of people talking about it, and I figured I would add it. One on my list is City in the Middle of the Night by Charlie Jane Andrews. I know honestly absolutely nothing about this other than it's been on my to-read list for a very long time, and I have the ebook version of it on my Kindle, and Scribd has the audio version. I also have Kindred by Octavia Butler on this list. Scribd has the audiobook version available right now. I have never read any of Octavia Butler's books, and I personally think that as somebody who loves reading a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, this is a tragedy, so maybe this month I will get around to reading it. The next one, I read the first of these last year when I was first starting to get into audiobooks, and it worked really well as an audiobook for me. And this is Binti Home. And Binti was amazing, and I really enjoyed it. And I had every intention of just going straight through the series then, but I never got around to it, so I'm still working on it. But the audiobook's only like 4 hours long when listened to at normal speed, so I can probably get that done like that on a couple of walks with Peach. The next book is another book I swore up and down that I would never read, just because this author and I do not get along at all. Like, there's just something about his writing that everybody else seems to absolutely adore, but myself, I don't like, and that is The Toll by Neal Shusterman. I read the other two last year and didn't really love them, but I figured might as well finish the series to see if it gets higher than a 3-star rating. I am not that hopeful about it, but hey, we'll see what happens. It's on Scribd. I might as well read it. What else am I gonna do right now? And then the next book on the list is The Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. Yes, this is a sequel to Children of Blood and Bone. This has been on my list for a while. I've owned it for a ridiculously long time, and I just haven't gotten around to it. The next book is also another Scribd ebook and audiobook combination, and that is Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. This has been on my list for a while. I just absolutely love the cover. I know nothing about it outside of that it's a fantasy book, and I think it's inspired by either Japanese or Chinese mythology. I really don't know anything at all about it. I have been on the fence about whether I want to read this next one. That is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I have a love-hate relationship with the Cassandra Clare books. I actually legitimately liked the original 3, and I got kind of frustrated that she continued that series because I felt like City of Glass was a great ending to the series. I've come around in recent months and went back and read all of the other ones that she wrote, because I had read some of them and got really annoyed by, like, City of Heavenly Fire for existing, and I don't hate her books by any means. I think they do a good job for what they are, but the original 3 were my favorite. The next one I think is very, very appropriate given everything, and that is Everything is Fucked, a book about hope by Mark Manson. So I think it was at the end of last year, like November, December time period, I read his other book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I actually weirdly found it very interesting once I got past all of his foul, curse. I'm going to do this just to say a lot of curse words and make a point. I actually got a lot out of the first one, and I wasn't expecting to. And so I decided that whenever I got my hands on a copy of this, either from the library or when it was on Scribd, I would go ahead and give it a shot. Next one, I found at Barnes & Noble one of my last days there, had every intention of picking it up and reading it, forgot about it, have had my eye on it on and off again ever since, and that is Burning Down the House by Tim Moore. It is the history of punk rock in Berlin right around the time that the Berlin Wall fell. It kind of hits my niche for nonfiction books on history, which is like combining something I love, punk music, with some other aspect that's really popular and really well known, the fall of the Berlin Wall. And this book apparently is supposed to be absolutely outstanding. The author does a great job of everything, and it stays very true to its punk rock roots. Plus, the audio version is also available on Scribd, so I should be able to flip back and forth between those and knock this out. Another nonfiction book that I'm excited to read is Invisible Women, Data Bias in a World Designed for Men. I have had my eye on this one since I saw it come through Tall Tales a couple months ago, the bookstore that I work at, and I have just been wanting to read it. Plus, things like this, they make me angry, but they also are very enlightening, and I like to sound intelligent on things. Another nonfiction book that I want to read and has been on my to-read list for a while, but I'm not going to get super upset with if I don't get to, is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. This one's the book it's a brief history on humanity, like where we came from and why we are the way we are, and I just think it sounds really interesting. It's been very popular. It's been on the bestseller list since it came out. And then the last 2 books, one are both just general fiction. One is a classic that I probably should have read a long time ago and never got around to, and that is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. I have been wanting to read this forever. Haven't gotten around to it. Watched the first episode on Hulu, thought it was phenomenal and right up my alley. Found the audiobook and the ebook version on Scribd, so hey, might as well, right? And then the last one is because I read Sourdough last month, really liked the guy's writing style, so now I'm going to read Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. I have no idea what this book is about, other than the fact that it is hopefully set in a bookstore, and I'm very excited because as of right now, I do not work in a bookstore because it is closed. It makes me very sad, so I'm reading a whole bunch of books in hopes that I can keep that love alive, if that makes sense. I don't think it does, but hey. So that is my TBR for the month of April. Hopefully this video is somewhat interesting. I don't like making TBRs because usually I just say to heck with them, but all of these books are ones that I've been wanting to read for a while, and I think, fingers crossed, we might be able to read at least 1 or 2 on this list before I just throw the list away and read something else entirely. So, wish me luck, and feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, whatever floats your boat. I do post videos every Saturday and Sunday, so tune in every weekend for a new update. I generally try to do at least one video that's centered around my pets, and that video will be coming very soon. I have great plans for that, especially if you like dogs and cats, because that is what I have. I also have a horse, but that's a whole nother story. So, yeah, stay safe out there, wash your hands, practice social distancing, read a book, all of that jazz. And I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.